There are only a few fundamental key beliefs that every single high-paid, high-earning Uber Eats delivery driver relies upon to ensure that they continue those high payouts into the future. Number 1, drive a fuel-efficient vehicle. Number 2, don't accept lowball offers. And number 3, wait next to your highest paying restaurants that consistently give out good orders in order to be first in line to pick up that next order through the Uber Eats app. But what if I told you that one of these fundamental beliefs was entirely backwards? What's going on, everybody? Jonathan here with Gig Nation, the original gig economy YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be looking at a flaw in one of the fundamental beliefs that underpins high earnings throughout the gig economy. Just about every major gig economy YouTuber has talked about this in the past. When you finish delivering an offer, head back to those high-paying restaurants that you enjoy working at and park right next to the highest paying restaurant that you get the most offers at, because Uber sets up its next delivery based upon your distance to that restaurant. So of course, being right next to that restaurant's going to ensure that you are the first on the list when Uber pings that next delivery. But let's take a look at why this actually might be wrong. Let's dive into a presentation that Uber has set up for restaurants and what they tell them about how they select delivery drivers. And then we'll take a look at the Uber Eats FAQ page for delivery drivers and see what criteria they set up for drivers there. The name of this presentation is Uber Eats Demystified for Restaurants. It's a presentation for restaurants that are new to the Uber Eats platform, and it lets them know the ins and outs of the app, how prep time works, how different Uber Eats delivery drivers are selected for each order. And this is a hearty presentation. It's 27 pages. We're not going to go through all of those pages. What I want to show you guys really just lies on a single page in this presentation, and that's page 26. Let's take a look at it. Delivery, prep time, and dispatch FAQs. There is some really interesting information here being communicated with merchants. So what factors go into making a particular order to a delivery person on the Uber platform? Number 1, the first bullet point here, estimated delivery person time of arrival. Estimated time of arrival at the restaurant based on where the delivery person is currently located. We look for this to match up with the restaurant's expected prep time. So they want delivery drivers to be showing up right when that order is going to be ready. Estimated delivery person wait time, expected wait time at the restaurant based on historical data. So we'll talk about this more later and why this is super important. And then the last bullet point here we're going to look at is max distance to protect them from a long pickup travel time. Delivery people that are far enough away from the restaurant at the time an order comes through will not be matched for that order. So if we were just to read that last bullet point number 3, we could assume that Uber Eats was going to match the closest delivery driver with the nearest order. But bullet points 1 and 2 tell us otherwise. They tell us that Uber's actually trying to match a delivery driver with an order that's going to be ready just about when they arrive to pick up that order. So if Uber Eats estimates that an order is going to be ready in 15 minutes, they're going to match up a delivery driver that they expect to arrive at the restaurant in about 15 minutes. But they also don't want to select delivery drivers that are too far away. So now we're on to something. We are really starting to refine our criteria for maximizing the number of high-paying orders we're getting on the Uber Eats app. And we're going to dive into what exactly that new strategy is. But first, let's take a look at how Uber Eats is estimating restaurant prep time. So if we take a look at slide 15, we can see that restaurants are able to update prep time themselves. But aside from that, Uber Eats actually has a very sophisticated machine learning algorithm that's estimating prep times based on what type of meal is being served, what time of the day it is, and historic averages for those meals and times of day. And they want to match up that prep time with your arrival time. So I'm going to pull up a page here from the Uber Eats delivery driver app, and it's an FAQ page for drivers. Essentially, it lets you know that Uber Eats has a very accurate estimate of how long it's going to take you to get to the restaurant. And it's in your best interest to try and get there in about that much time. And this is really important to talk about before we dive into our strategy, because let's say you're turning on your Uber Eats app while you're at home chilling on the couch and you take 15 minutes to get ready before leaving for that offer. Or let's say you're multi-apping and you have a DoorDash order, you're heading in the opposite direction, and Uber Eats thinks it's gonna take you 5 minutes to get to the restaurant, but it actually takes you 15 minutes. It's safe to assume that if you're missing estimated arrival times consistently, that Uber Eats is going to see you as a less reliable delivery driver and potentially send you fewer orders. So as drivers, we should operate under the assumption that that estimated arrival time is actually close to when that order is going to be ready. And as a driver, we know from experience that sometimes this happens, and it is really nice to just walk into a restaurant, have that food ready, see that it's still hot, know that your customer is going to be happy when they get that hot food quickly. And while this is certainly not always the case, this is what Uber Eats is striving for. Now, in order to provide some more clarity onto how this impacts how you're getting offers on the Uber Eats app, let's pull up the FAQ pages within the help section of the Uber Eats delivery driver app. And here we can see a page that actually says that Uber Eats encourages you to cancel an order if it takes longer than 10 to 15 minutes. They don't want you waiting around more than 10 to 15 minutes. They know that your time is valuable, your time is money, and it is the goal of their algorithm, of their machine learning model, to get you as little wait time as possible. They want to get you in there when that order is ready. They don't want you sitting around. And if there is a scenario where they mess this up, you're waiting longer, that order gets canceled. They're probably going to have to reimburse you for that and then find another delivery driver who could be further away, could take longer to get there, and that could cause problems down the road for that delivery to the customer. So they don't want this to happen. So what does this all mean when we factor in all of these things together? Well, Uber Eats doesn't want to ping drivers that are too far away from a restaurant. They also don't want drivers showing up long before the order is actually ready. And we all know that some restaurants take 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes to prepare orders during the busiest hours. So if you are waiting outside right next to a restaurant in the parking lot of your favorite Chinese restaurant because you know this always gets high payouts, good tips, big orders, you're excited about it, this may not be the best place to wait. So this system that we've all relied upon since we started driving, since we started delivering for Uber Eats, it's a little bit flawed. And those drivers that are posted out, parked right outside of their favorite restaurant, they're missing out on a ton of offers by doing this. And the good news is there's actually a much better system that you can put in place to guarantee that you're still getting a lot of offers, you're getting hit orders and pinged from the highest paying restaurants, but you're not in a position where you're actually missing out on those orders by being too close to a restaurant. And I like to call this restaurant clustering. It's finding the groups of high-paying, busy restaurants that are likely to give us the best orders and heading towards that general zone. This is a little bit different than the strategy that a lot of Uber Eats drivers use, where they head to the surge areas, the busy areas on the map. While this can be beneficial, we all know that those high-paying surge zones, they tend to be fleeting. They tend to pop up in one place and then disappear by the time you get there. And while this system does kind of work for some drivers, it's more beneficial to Uber Eats than anyone else, because at the moment of a surge, when they show a surge on the map, that means that there are a lot of orders that need to be picked up. A ton of drivers are going to flock to that area, and the first ones that get there are probably going to get those orders. By the time you get there, those orders might not be there anymore. There's a good chance that there's going to be future orders there. That's probably a busy area. But as drivers, it's better for us to develop our own clusters of restaurants that we know are putting out those high-paying offers, those big offers, and those consistent orders, and head to those clusters ourselves. And it would be wise not to be waiting in the parking lot of any specific restaurant in this cluster. Instead, to be in an area that's kind of an in-between zone, in between all of these restaurants. It puts us close enough where we can get pinged by any one restaurant in that area, but doesn't isolate us specifically to one restaurant, which may actually penalize us by putting us too close to a restaurant, which would increase our wait time, and that could be negative for the Uber Eats algorithm. As always, I would love to hear your feedback on this video. What are your strategies? Are you parking at a specific restaurant? Are you getting good offers from that restaurant? Are you heading to surge zones? Is that working out for you? Or do you use a method similar to the cluster method? And how has that worked out for you? I always love to hear your comments. Leave them down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more gig economy updates.